What do, Shane? Alright, what's up, everybody? Jacob Green here. Music Universal Language Podcast. This is the 5th episode, and my guest today is an old friend from Beloit, Wisconsin. Everybody, let's welcome Mr. Adam Nash. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, dude?
He's filled with excitement, folks.
I am.
It's midday on a snowy weekend.
Indeed.
Which could be like, we could describe that for many days throughout the winter.
Yeah, many days.
Become a
Wisconsin horrible winter.
Or Vermont, and you just come like a homebody. You're like, what the hell am I doing? I got no choice. I'm here.
Yep.
And that's life. But how's it going, man? How you been?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Right on.
Just working and collecting instruments.
How many do you think you got now? That's about it. How many instruments do you think you got?
I think maybe around 35 or 40.
Oh, and that's anything stringed instruments to...
I mainly focus on stringed instruments.
What do you think you got the most of? Probably guitars or...
Oh, God.
You got like a couple mandolins, right?
I got one mandolin, a Buzauki, and I've got, I guess, an acoustic guitar, electric guitar, lap, steel.
Oh yeah, you got the little, yeah. If they're technically all guitars, even though they're pretty different instruments, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got the little electric lap steel that is just the strings and the neck, right?
Yep.
I messed around with that once. And what was that crazy little digital thing you had last time I saw you?
The Omnichord?
Yeah, that's it. That thing's a trip.
The Omnichords are great.
So is that like pre-synthesizer or that? No, that's after, kind of.
I think it's after. They were, I think, late 80s, early 90s. Somewhere in there.
I never
Suzuki still makes one. They make the, what do you call it? Oh, boy. I've got one, too.
Got so many instruments, can't remember all the names.
The Q chord. Q chord is what it's called.
Q chord, right on.
Yeah.
And when you have that crazy Japanese instrument.
Yep, the Erhu. My Chinese violin.
Is that the strangest one? The Chinese, sorry.
Yeah, that's the hardest I've had to try and play one. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous to try and play, but...
What other, like, obscure ones do you have besides that?
Sultry.
What's that? I don't know if I've seen that.
Kind of like a violin. It's like a triangle-shaped board with all the strings on it already.
No, I saw the thing.
Strings a different note.
What was the triangle thing that's kind of like a ukulele?
That's the balalaika.
That's a 3-string or 4-string?
3-string. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cause it was like you could do. It was like A minor, E major, or something, or A and E are the strings.
E and A.
Yeah, that's right. Some strange tuning.
Yeah.
So you just have like a fascination with instruments, or you just kind of you like to keep them around?
I like to keep them around. I like to play, here and there. I'm not a professional at any of them, I guess, but
right.
Collect them, have them around. If other people I know or other musicians ever want to use them, they're more than free to. And
we've had a couple jam sessions there for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, that's what I was kind of saying in the intro. It's kind of like all the stuff you got or anything you've ever written. It's just kind of for the love of it. You're not necessarily trying to take it to a performance or what have you.
Oh, right. Yeah.
For your love of music, man.
I do love the music, man.
And, well, the instruments in themselves can kind of turn you on to so many different styles, if you're like...
right.
Yeah, like just the one you're talking about, the triangle. What is it called again?
A balalaika?
Yes, that's a Russian instrument?
Yes.
And that's used in that kind of ragtimey style. You showed me a band that uses like a huge one?
Yeah, the Balalaika comes in like 4, 5, or 6 different sizes.
Mm.
And kind of just like a violin family of instruments or the mandolin family of instruments.
Right.
You got a tiny one, alto, going on up.
So they're playing like the bass one or something, kind of.
There's the bass, and then the contrabass is what they were playing.
Oh, so like a cello almost, kind of similar.
Well, it's like a stand-up bass.
Okay.
Like,
yeah,
but it's got frets, so they're pretty neat.
Cool.
Love to have one.
So 35, shit, you got more than me for sure.
Fuck yeah. I guess maybe 4 accordions.
Shit. I mean, I probably have maybe more strings than you, maybe. But you have more obscure stuff for sure. I mean, I have a bouzouki. I thought it was bouzouki. First time I ever saw one. It's funny because the first time I saw one, Steve Earle was playing it, and that's just how it's my bouzouki. Or he don't talk like that. But he kind of still has a southern thing. He's from like Texas or Tennessee, so but
yeah.
I always thought it's almost like bazooka. So you're like, oh, bouzouki, bouzouki. Just depends on who you ask, what dialect, what accent, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. I don't
know.
Wherever it's Greek.
Oh,
the original bouzouki.
Oh, that's right.
Greek.
I looked this up, yeah. Which, they're similar to almost like a larger mandolin, which you could tune it like a mandolin, but also slightly different, with the high E being a high D. Just for everyone.
The Irish one.
Right, but then I was actually thinking about it, and wait, so it's what is it? GD AD. So I was thinking about it. I could turn the G to a F sharp, and then just be open D, and that could be a whole nother wimble.
Right.
I think I'm gonna do that because I need to play it more, and it's almost like sometimes it's hard to transition, especially when it's I don't know much music by it aside from like Steve Earle. I mean, I'm sure I could learn some more music, but it's a lot of traditional Celtic stuff uses bouzouki or folk, but still modern stuff uses it.
Yeah, I mean it is a modern instrument, the Irish one.
Right.
Someone made it in the '60s, I think. So
that's right. Yeah, it's not too old, so it's almost like a combination of acoustic guitar and mandolin in a sense, but it's also kind of like a larger, lower octave mandolin.
Right.
But you could have it in multiple tunings and do whatever the hell you want with it. But I was thinking that maybe open D would just get me picking on it more and kind of roll with it. You know what I mean? But because I need to play that thing. Well, I got the classic version. You have the normal or the whatever. I have the one with the, I don't know, the circle looks cooler.
Oh, yeah.
The sound hole. I don't know. Yeah. Mine was just the classical one. I got it from wherever that company was. You told me about it. So.
Yeah, I can't.
All right. Well.
Remember who they are now. But.
So before 35 instruments or more, what's the story of Adam Nash?
Huh?
Let's go back. Let's go way back. Where did the musical journey begin? I mean, can you recall?
Well, I would have to say, like, influential wise of like listening to music, I grew up listening to a lot of gospel.
Right on.
Gospel music, and like rock and roll and rap were not welcome, really.
Right.
For a long time. It was like Elvis was okay. And then like anything past Elvis was kind of off limits, if you will.
And Elvis had the Christmas and sweet songs too, so that's kind of how he got away with it.
Oh, right, yeah. So I was big into Elvis for quite a while, and then I don't know, eventually fell more into the rock and roll stuff after I, grew up a little bit and rebelled, but got into like Kiss and
classic rock kind of
classic rock stuff.
AC/DC, right?
Yep, yeah, AC/DC, they were great.
And where did you start, like, instrument-wise? Did you start singing, or did you?
I'd have to say, instrument-wise, I probably started around 4th grade with the clarinet and played in a band, school band for a couple years.
Right.
Learned how to read music and all that. And
scales.
Then I went to a small school, and they kind of eliminated the band for a year. And then I never went back.
Damn. And then were you kind of in choir, kind of not?
I was in and around choir throughout some late middle school, early high school stuff. Dug that a little bit, but never really came into it, I guess.
Did your parents sing much? Or, I mean, I feel like you naturally have a good voice. So were they encouraging you to, like, how did you realize you kind of had a little backbone in your vocal range?
Yeah, I didn't really get it until I started doing some acting for like high school or
like a play.
Like a play, yeah. And I could like get deep and thunder it out, and like, you know, the ghost of Christmas Present, you know.
No, that was you.
That was me in the never performed play production.
Really? Oh, damn.
Well, we only had one night to do it, and it like snowed like emergency blizzard or something like that night, and they never redid it.
Oh, man. Well, at least it helped you realize. You're like, yeah, I got something.
But, yeah, they offered me the lead in one couple words. So I was, you know, like, okay, I got a powerful, deep, powerful voice.
Right.
You know, and then I'd been into Johnny Cash, too, with, you know, he's got that deep, powerful voice, and kind of wanted to sound like that a lot, you know, and singing along with the radio, you know.
Well, Elvis can kind of almost have a similar thing, a little more smooth and crooner-ish, but Cash is more real. Cash is more... He cuts through his songs, you know.
Between those two, you know, like Cash is real and Elvis was, I don't know.
Well, and Cash wrote all of his own material. I mean, well, not all of his material, but Cash wrote a ton of originals, and Elvis didn't write anything really. So
ever,
yeah. A little bit of a puppet.
Yeah, but you know, he was a good singer, and a good performer.
Yeah, 100%.
But he couldn't write anything, and that just kind of. Once I learned that really took him down like a few notches in my book.
Yeah, I kind of felt like that later, and that it's almost just simultaneously when you kind of get into songwriting, you know, because you kind of appreciate lyrics so much, and like, I don't know, just like the message or storytellers. You know, Johnny Cash, great storyteller.
Right.
And just
storytellers. That's what you got to do.
Okay, so you're so you didn't really play another instrument till you're a teenager.
Yeah,
then you're influenced by rock. You're getting into different stuff. You watch Dazed and Confused. Did you watch Dazed and Confused and say, "I need this soundtrack"? Was that a big part of? Yeah, I think you told me that.
It wasn't Dazed and Confused. It was Detroit Rock City.
Oh, I snuck into that when I was like 12.
Me too, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, because it's not just Kiss music. It's tons of great classic rock.
But we had a situation kind of like that, where like my parents were the ones that didn't like rock music.
But then
a friend of mine's mom, she didn't care at all, you know, and we told her like, oh yeah, his parents say it's totally okay. And we just gunned it down to Rockford and watched Skid Row, Ted Nugent, and Kiss. And that was like my first rock concert, I think.
That's not too shabby.
Than, like small things, you know.
For a first, that's not too bad.
On their farewell tour.
This is late 90s.
like 2001, I think.
Oh shit! So you're how old? 2006, 17.
Yeah.
You're older than me, so. Okay, and then you got into bass temporarily with your school, sort of.
Not through school. It was through church.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I started going to a new church, and they were like, "Well, I'm going to teach you how to play the bass," and I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Right. So you were performing with them, and.
Yep, and within a few weeks, I was performed at a church camp deal,
right.
playing their music. So
was it like Christian rock style, or?
It was, yeah, I'd say Christian kind of rock, praise music, but
praise music,
a little more on the rocking side.
Cool. So this was like a year or so, or kind of?
That was about maybe 2-3 years I played with them. I ended up moving down to Ohio and playing with them down there.
And how many basses did you have? Or you have one
Do
left?
I have now? I only have one now.
But you had like 3 or 4? Or?
I had at least 3 or 4. I had an acoustic one and an 8-string.
Oh, 8-string. And you had a fretless one, right?
Yep, I still have the fretless one. So probably 3.
Cool.
Yeah.
Huh. 8-string. Wow. That's weird. So was it the other strings were the higher octave like a guitar?
Kind of, yeah.
But they're like bass thick still, kind of.
Well, there was 2 strings there. I mean, each double stringed, and one set was maybe the size of a guitar, maybe a little smaller. And then the other ones were just normal bass strings.
Right.
But it gave it a nice echoey, chorusy sound to it.
Or like a fullness to each note because you're hitting 2 strings. Huh, that's a trip. So this was kind of the main thing you were doing as a bass player. Did you ever jam with like your buddies?
Some, yeah. I had some friends around, and we made a band a little later on, Statutory Rock.
Oh, I thought, well, not nobody in like Ohio. Ohio was kind of just the
Ohio. It was pretty much just praise or Christian music, you know.
Right, but even down there, you didn't like randomly jam with someone or
a few people.
Yeah. Because even
There's
just
a friend of mine had this synthesizer that I still want to this day. But an old timey like
analog,
Floydy analog synthesizer.
Oh, I played with a real cool MIDI one that was analog, but it was MIDI analog, so that you could plug it out through your keyboard. Oh man, that thing was sweet. And I don't even really mess with synthesizers ever, but it was just one time I had my hands on it. It was fun, ton of fun. Okay, so let's get back to the craziness here. So by the time you came back from Ohio, were you kind of done playing bass, or?
Because
was like Lucas and Dave almost like, hey, or Lucas like, hey man, you should just sing and I'll play guitar or something. Or was that the same time, or I don't know.
Maybe just about. It was just, well, like a lot of my friends had gotten a lot better. Like in another level that I'm not keeping up with you on. So
yeah, Dave and Lucas both
became pretty non-fun to play. So
oh damn, yeah. Well, especially I get what you're saying. Yeah, people can be intimidating, even unintentionally too. You know. So, but yeah, because like both Dave and Lucas started. Well, I know I had talked to Dave, obviously, another episode, and he started when he was 15. But yeah, he improved pretty damn quickly on acoustic guitar. And I think Lucas started even earlier, right?
Lucas started right about if I remember right, it was pretty much right around the same time that Dave came around.
Mm-hmm. Right on. So, yeah, by the time you come back, you're like 2021. They've kind of consistently kept playing, but they got into more all the classic rock and rock stuff we all love.
Yeah.
They were kind of like mastering those styles. Maybe Dave was a little more punk. Lucas was a little more 80s hair metal or something in their taste of what they're learning.
Oh, yeah.
So to speak. But
they were both real good. So
yeah.
I couldn't really keep my chops as a bass player. I mean, maybe I could have, but didn't really fit in with that. But I could sing, so that's what I started doing.
So then, yeah, because Statutory Rock kind of started with you and Lucas first, right?
Yeah, I guess
more
for the most
or less.
part, yeah.
So then how did that actually start? You guys were kind of like already doing stuff, but then you're like, hey, let's actually call this something, or...
Well, we started writing a few like acoustic tunes and got Dave in there to do the leads, and we just wanted to. We ended up writing goofy shit.
Well, Dave said you guys were influenced by like Tenacious D and going for a comedic.
Maybe Tenacious D, maybe a little more Frank Zappa-ish.
Right, yeah, that
some
makes
Wesley
sense.
Willis mixed in there.
Yes, awesome. Yes, how can I forget? Okay,
but we always like the funny, obscure stuff, and
what is do you know the first Statutory Rock song? Is it?
Oh,
Dave reminded me that me and you both kind of wrote Dan while working the night shift. We were like almost both coming up with verses.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, as I did the Dingleberry version.
I bet it was either that one or Getting High. That was.
I know it was Getting High. Getting High. You guys had that before Dan was even thought of.
Right.
So was that you and I picture you and Lucas writing Getting High.
That was mainly him. That was mainly Lucas. I think he wrote pretty much all of that.
But
I just sang.
Lucas isn't a singer much, and you're a good singer, so you sang that, and that was kind of the beginning. And it's not the funniest song, but it's definitely not the most serious song. But then you guys just kind of got funnier or more comedic in a sense. Right. Almost parody style, but you're not mocking anyone or parodying. Yeah. So I don't think Dan was second. I think you guys had something else. I mean.
Oh God, what did we? Well, Lucas and I were in this little metal band. You were at our only concert.
Oh, that's right, with Josh on drums.
Yeah. With that dude on drums.
Crazy guy on drums. And that was some weird house party. And I can't really recall how it sounded, but it was hardcore. You were all gothic for a night.
Yeah. I think.
Wait, didn't you guys wrote the song about me, Run Goopy Run, before Dan, right? Or like the same time, because it was you have the apartment number. You have our apartment number in the song, so it was when we were living at the apartment. That's a song you can check out. Statutory Rock, Run Goopy Run. It's about me. True story, kind of, allegedly. And I always thought that was a great song. It was similar to a other song that we wrote on your back porch.
Well, yeah.
But because what about that? We were like, rubs it on his balls. Was that written pre-Statutory Rock? I don't remember. I know it was after the Harvest Festival. It was
after the Harvest Festival.
The following day, we're sitting outside in the fall of some year. 05, 06, I want to guess.
Something like that.
And then, because then within the next year, then you guys had like Getting High, Run Goopy Run, Ramblin' Man, Dan the Cocaine Man,
Town Hall Meeting,
Littering. It just like, yeah, it was.
Littering might have come first.
You guys were kind of like, it was almost like you're cranking them out a lot for a second. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that's maybe when you guys just got into it the most. And then you almost had like one or two almost serious songs, but they were like He's Going to Hell or, the song I actually like is, what's the one? Intertwine? Or,
yeah.
That's kind of serious.
That was the one I was getting to with that. I think we wrote when we were in that other band with Josh.
Oh, so that started out more metal.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was another one.
So that's that turned into. And so what about the band Lucas and Josh are in with the other crazy guy who wrote Pretty Baby? Was that after your metal band?
Oh, that was before. That was when I was in Ohio. We
already got the story of the Pretty Baby thing, how Dave wrote the music, then Lucas took it to a punk style, and then we revamped it with the Grit.
Yeah.
And I technically wrote half the lyrics, and then what's his face? Josh. Bomb Threat
Whatever.
Josh.
Yeah, Bomb Threat Josh wrote the other part of it.
He went to jail for it, folks. True story. That's his nickname. For a good reason. Oh, cool. So Dave sent me sorry, hang on a second. Yeah, we did a little jam. That's another thing we could do. Yeah, I'm going to do that for a second. Hang on. What a difference cleaning the water makes. But yeah, so what we could do, I forgot well, you'd have to be up for it. You could like film yourself playing something, and then I could like record something to it afterwards, or I don't know, do a song we already know, or
right.
That's basically what I did with Dave. A song he already does lead on. I just filmed myself recording or playing it and recorded it, and then now he's going to send me a video of him recording and filming it.
Yeah.
But, anyway, okay, so we went from some punk band, Lucas and Josh the drummer, and Bomb Threat Josh are in. Then it turned into, well, I guess you took over as a singer because Bomb Threat Josh went to jail.
Kind of, yeah.
Which only lasted for one show. And then eventually one of these songs ends up being a Statutory Rock song, which is like one of the few kind of serious songs and not comedic songs of the entire Statutory Rock collection. I mean, the name of itself is kind of comedic, so.
Oh, right.
Or offensive. Yeah. But, so then I just remember Statutory Rock was right around the same time I was doing the whole, like, outlaw country folk. When I first got an acoustic guitar and started writing songs, we were all working at the same factory. And so this was, like, 2006, 2007. And eventually, Statutory Rock and myself ended up performing at the Bop, where like I would open by myself, then Statutory Rock trio would do a set, and then we'd come together and it'd just be Jacob Green and Statutory Rock, where Lucas was on the drums. Nash actually played congas and sang backup and lead vocal. And then I played guitar, Dave played lead guitar. We had no bass when we were that formation, which is kind of weird, but it was like pretty laid back bop shows, just kind of friends showing up.
Oh yeah,
playing for free beer.
Pretty much.
But if you remember, so then it was kind of like it was the end of 2007. Like, well, we talked about this how I was supposed to have people over for a Thanksgiving party. Then my parents found out, and that's how we ended up at the bop by asking Bert on a whim, like, hey, can we do it here? It's like, sure, for free, old Milwaukee. No, that's not how it sounds. I love you, Bert. You're awesome.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was like the end of 2007 till like I think March of 2008. So like 5-6 months, we were like playing at the bop every now and then, and you guys were still doing your stats. It was like we were still doing both things separately, and then getting together for like at least a set. It was like pre-Grit. And if you remember, a couple of the first shows when we were actually the Grit, when Mark joined the band and Lucas became the bass player, we actually had a bass player. I know at least one Mike's Roadhouse show and probably a bop show, you guys would still do an opening set.
Yeah.
And maybe it was because, we didn't have a full set worked out yet. But I think that was kind of some of the last Statutory Rock shows, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that might have been
But you guys would do them maybe every now and then, like when we would still do a bop show like once or twice a year. Or would you? I don't remember.
I think we did for a few times.
Because like the bop officially became different ownership and not the bop in 2016. So like basically from like 2008, 2016, it'd be like maybe once or twice a year the Grit would get together at the bop. So you guys were already there. So maybe Statutory Rock would do like a quick set. Maybe not every time, but
yeah, once in a while.
And if you remember, we did the crappy River West Commons in Milwaukee.
I remember the River West Commons show.
And that's where you guys have a performance of you doing a David Allan Coe cover.
Yeah.
Three Biggest Lies, which is quite popular on YouTube for Statutory. It's one of Statutory Rock's, I think it's his most popular song.
Well,
it's like,
makes sense.
Anyways, that was just a weird bar. Now it's the River West Public House, and it's way cooler. So
cool.
But, so is that where it all ended, or didn't you guys like still try to keep it going?
We haven't done anything in a long time. I mean,
But there was like a point where you guys did like an electric song. You know, you did like the what's the guy? You know the guy. Oh mother, where was my father?
David Peel.
Yeah, so he did like a David. It was like electric. It was like drums and everything. But okay, so let's just say that's some unreleased stuff that's not even original. But you guys have at least one 10-song something, give or take.
Yeah.
Original CD of all these acoustic songs, 2 acoustic guitars and Nash on vocals. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty badass. A lot of the music was awesome, and it was funny. You know, it was funny.
All right. Well, I mean, if you're not gonna like tell a story or with a moral or anything like that, or any interesting, you know, if you're not gonna write "Blowing in the Wind," you know, you can write like some funny, offensive shit.
Yeah, exactly. And I just liked you guys stuck to the theme a lot. You know, you could make multiple themes funny, which is cool. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's good memories, man. I mean, I guess it's similar in the Grit. Like, still occasionally we play together, but if you consider like what music would be considered Grit music, it's a lot of the songs that were from like that time, like 2007 to 2009. a lot of the ones that we still, or I would consider grit songs. It was like I wrote them with you guys or in the same time period, what have you. So it's good times, man.
Hell yeah.
So then what the hell happened, man? What'd you do next? You took a songwriting break.
A little bit of a songwriting break. We'll do some other stuff every once in a while.
Trashy stuff.
Did some folk music. We did some old folk soul.
Right.
And that's mainly what I enjoy listening to have for a long time is like the folk music scene and traditional stuff. But
and that's the thing. I remember we thought of the name for old folk soul like a long time ago before it was really a group. We just thought it'd be a cool group name, and it also like describes the genres we're going for in a sense. And so we didn't actually record anything till I think it was 2013. And yeah, if you think like Statutory Rock wasn't as active by like 2009, from like 2009 to 13, you're kind of like maybe like getting more into singer-songwriters and folk traditional stuff like deeper in the meantime. So even though you're not writing as much or playing, you're almost like studying by listening. So by the time I'm like, hey, let's actually do this folk thing, you're almost like your skills had improved and like a lot of your guitar stuff and whatnot. So, and banjo, yeah. But yeah, so how the hell did that come about? I don't know. We were there. Something happened. Well, no. Okay, this is the official. This is what I always say for everyone. Okay, so our buddy Randy Bredesen, he's been fucking, strumming acoustic guitar and playing harmonica like a Dylan or Neil Young thing since we were in high school, since he was like at least 16 or something. And he had these original songs, and back in the day, he used to go to the open mic, and like I've mentioned before, all these bop shows, we'd have him as an opener whenever he would do it. So my little like whatever scheme or plan behind Old Folk Soul was like, it was like me and Nash. It's kind of our group in general, but it's also an excuse to like get Randy to either record or perform, because I knew he had more originals, and all we'd have to do is like I add a lead part to his song, or maybe Nash sings a backup, and then it becomes a group song just by doing that. And overall, we only got I think one song where the At the Factory song, which Nash wrote most of it. Here's a clip right now, and I wrote whatever. I wrote my verse to it, but then Randy, that's the one song he really collaborated with us, and he wrote an awesome harmonica lick that he plays throughout the song. So I think that's the most, that song, At the Factory, is the most, like, collaborative old folk soul song. But then there was a lot of songs where it's kind of just me and Nash doing a duo thing, or almost like a Randy solo song featuring me playing, a lead mandolin or lead dobro or something. So that's kind of how Old Folk Soul came about. It's kind of just a big excuse to get Randy to record and to continue his thing, because we already wanted to do that style. And his style, so similar to Dylan-ish and Neil Young, is very similar to our kind of traditional folk style. I guess we're kind of more older sounding, and he's kind of more 60s, 70s folk. I don't know. We're all over the place, but that's what I always
something like that.
Thought of it, and it worked to an extent. I think we only had one performance at the Bop as the full group, but we recorded enough material for like 2 albums, and half of it's like traditional or kind of.
Hell yeah.
Anything else? What do you think about the Old Folk Soul thing? Did you like it?
Yeah. I'd love to do more of it.
Hell yeah. Well, Nash probably co-wrote all the songs all the songs we did, kind of a duo thing. And then What about The Banker? You wrote the lyrics, but did Lucas write the music?
I wrote the music.
Oh, so that is one of my favorite songs, and I guess Statutory Rock temporarily did that song, but it's an Adam Nash original, The Banker, and so we recorded it as Old Folk Soul, and I think we just kind of put the folkier thing by having like a banjo, strums on it or something,
mm-hmm.
and that's a really cool song about like losing your land to the banker and going to get his ass.
Right. Oh, I've always enjoyed the like revolutionary.
Yeah. How's a song like that come about? Like, how do you put yourself in that perspective?
I honestly think I'd watched like either listen to some Woody Guthrie or like watched like The Grapes of Wrath or something.
Yeah.
Like recently before that,
Yeah.
And cool. Kind of take it off of that, but just playing around on instruments in minor keys and stuff like that.
Cool.
I always have a thing for the underdog getting pushed around by the law or vigilantes or whatever, the man, the system.
Right. Totally. Yeah, that's a great song, man. And then I think, I guess a lot of other songs you wrote your verse.
Mm-hmm.
And then a song like At the Factory, you wrote the music, chorus and verse, and I just wrote my own verse. That was pretty much predominantly your song too. Me and Randy kind of accompanied you.
Right.
Which that's kind of what the group was about, just kind of like accompanying each other. And was there another one that you did that was those are kind of the main two, The Banker and At the Factory. Those are the two main Nash originals, I want to say.
The two main ones, yeah.
Is there anything else, or?
Oh, yeah, that might be about it. I mean, otherwise, Lucas probably would have wrote the music, or
yeah, because I'm
Lucas
thinking,
or Dave.
Well, yeah, and even some of them, like a couple old folk songs. Yeah, I think it was like stuff I didn't really know what to do with because it was kind of more my folk or bluegrass material that didn't really fit what I was doing, like one-man band style. So, a couple of songs like that. Or I remember like Hop the Train. There was like a super old version of that we did like way before Old Folk Soul. It was all fast. It's like and then we switched to look at ahead, it's like way slower, the Old Folk Soul version. Or the other goofy ass song. I don't know. Who knows?
How to Last.
Oh, that still hasn't released, man. Shit. I'm thinking of doing that with some form of the Tribe, because I think it could be cool with like fiddles and maybe accordion.
There you go.
It has that gypsy kind of swing, folk, outlaw country. I thought it was a great song, man. There's a couple of them like that, but shit, it's a fucking old one.
Hell yeah! I remember that when you were taking off, and we went out, and got like that. We had some like Hank Williams, like 3 CD collection or something like that. Yeah. And we just went ape shit for it.
Yeah, exactly. We just played it like over and over. And How to Last in its own right, it's definitely influenced by like his, Ramblin' Man, his minor stuff. He doesn't have many minor songs.
Right.
But like when he does, he really kind of almost resonates more just in his tone and his voice is incredible. But I think that was How to Last was the first song I wrote, like trying to do this folk outlaw country thing. I'd only had an acoustic guitar for a few months, I want to say, And yeah, I think you were one of the first people I played it for because we were both working on the night shift. And I started bringing my guitar to the night shift. And yeah, so that's old school, man. Still, that's a good one. I mean, usually you're almost like trying to. I mean, that's almost what I feel like with the Banjo. You're almost like cultivating all these influences. So by the time you actually write your first one, it's almost like it's extra good if you put a lot of thought into it, as opposed to like, you know what I mean. So you're like, oh, all this shit I want to say or who I want to sound like or similar to, or, you know what I mean.
Right.
Because yeah, that's the Banker's just like it's kind of like a Johnny Cash meets a Hank Senior thing, or it's cool. It's really fucking cool. Lonesome cowboy, I can't. Oh. Well, so yeah, man, what the fuck? Yeah, so old folks, we never were much of a live performing band. It's kind of like the continuation of just me and you collaborating, or when Randy can collaborate, which, yeah, I definitely would love to collaborate with both you guys whenever we can get the chance to. And I guess the last thing we did was I put out Sleeping in the Rain single. And just by adding Nash on the backup vocals, it gave it a more of a tone and more of a fullness. And then it became With Old Folk Soul. I mean, technically Randy wasn't on it, but Randy's kind of like that, weird member who comes along every now and then, but he's never kicked out.
Well, he's Neil Young.
CSN or CSNY, you get the...
Yeah.
Yeah. But...
Old Folk Soul.
Oh, right. GNR. Oh, no. Guns N' Roses.
Oh, we already broke up.
Yeah, but, I mean... Oh, and I know for a fact... Randy has some other songs that like it's funny. I've been on this mission to just like record, because it's like I know. I mean, he has a little bit of ability to record himself now with like a tablet or something, but like no one will record him like with a decent home studio, and so it's like It's been my mission over the years to just like keep trying to get him, because I know he has originals, but like after so much time, he doesn't play him as much. He forgets some of the lyrics.
Oh, right.
And but I still think he's got a lot in him. I think he's a good songwriter too. I mean, he would only get better if he just did it more. But and same with you. I mean, do you still write originals, or like kind of putz around with them, play around with them?
A little bit. I've got a couple that I'm working on, but.
Yeah. Anything? What do you play on mainly banjo or acoustic guitar?
Banjo. I really like my Omnichord.
Oh, yeah.
I play around on that quite a bit.
Cool. Yeah, you showed me something you wrote once. I don't know if you had lyrics to it, but it was like some cool banjo picking.
Oh yeah, I've got a few of those. We did that one. You and I got together and did that one and recorded it with Lucas and James, or Dave and James.
Yeah, that was the Sleeping in the Rain, right? Did we do something else?
No, that was the what did we call that one?
Was it the same night?
It was that. I think it was like the next day or something like that. Like we did Sleeping in the Rain, and then we did another one. Something about the fair. It was a song that I wrote. Yeah.
This is another comedic something.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember. But of course, I haven't heard it because James has it on his fucking recorder and no one can hear it. James can't even hear it. He doesn't know how to work it.
Exactly.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I remember that he'd just gotten the Tascam recorder. And I really don't read instructions. I just like look at buttons and figure it out. Trial and error a lot. And so, I don't know. It was seemed like it was taking a while anyways to get things going. with that recorder. I actually ended up getting the same one, well, a bigger and better one. It's a 8-channel Tascam recorder, which is awesome. Like, it's really sweet.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've that's another cool thing too with all the with old folk soul stuff, especially just recording like banjos, acoustic guitars, harmonicas, dobros. Like, I think a lot of that definitely upped my game in like home studio recordings.
Mm-hmm.
Especially recording acoustic instruments, and just doing it in the right room or like how loud and all that stuff. So a lot of that stuff kind of has definitely helped me out. And there's stuff like from old folk soul I'd still would want to redo, not necessarily as old folk soul, but yeah, for sure. But and then there's songs like, I know there's at least a couple songs where it ended up like I'm the only one on it. So it's not even necessarily true old folk soul song, but there's good stuff in all of it. You just kind of got to weave through it. And, like, I can sing better than that now. Shit.
or the one-take specials of the other project.
Right. We've had many comedic projects. Different aliases. Trashy. Well, I guess that's yeah, I mean, when was the last time you performed live? I can't remember. Do you remember?
Think it might have been the last night of the Bop.
Oh, that's right. That makes sense. Because, yeah, it's kind of like a farewell. Show. And you just did it with the Grit, right? Or did you guys do a SR? Statutory Rock.
I think it was just the Grit.
We might have.
But the Grit always did a bunch of Statutory Rock songs. So it's always been about the same.
Well, and so I had this group very temporarily, Infinite Nature, which is ironic for temporary group, but name. And Nash was kind of a part of that, but like more or less because our friend Jess sang backup vocals in that, and there's other members, but we had these couple songs where it was just me, Jess, and Nash. Jess and Nash would both sing backup, and then one song you even did harmonica on. And I think a lot of times at the Bop, when I would do my solo set, we would like throw those two songs in the set list so you guys could come up and do them. So that was almost like another mini side project thing, I guess. I mean, those songs ended up on Old Folk Soul. So
right.
Which they're very similar style. Just two songs. But I guess that was another. So yeah, last time we performed was 2016. Wow, that's a while. And now you're just laying back. Not much interest in the performing arts.
Not lately.
Yeah.
Like to do some more recording. Got to get some equipment, But.
Honestly, you can get like those Tascams, like the one James had. I think he has a 2-channel. You can get those used for like $100.
Mm-hmm.
So you get $100 mic, $100 recorder. It's pretty much all you need. And then, because especially if you're like, if you're like me, I like to record my instrument and sing at the same time because I just sing better while I'm playing. So even if it's a 2-channel, you could have the option of miking your instrument and miking your vocals at the same time, or plugging your instrument in if it's acoustic electric and miking your vocals at the same time. So you could 2-channel at least gives you that, you know what I mean? But that could be cool, man. I mean, that's another reason I'm like doing this podcast thing, because not only it's like a cool way to stay in touch and whatnot and create interviews, but it's also just like using the recording stuff, and we could do a very similar thing recording wise.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, I worked on this, and then I could send you back something lead or whatever.
Oh yeah,
like, for sure. I mean, shit, that's all I do, man. So. Let me know. But shit, man, what the hell? What else? Let's talk about some of your influences. I know at points, obviously, at one point in time, we both were into Hank Sr., Johnny Cash, huge. Then we were kind of into like Dylan and Guthrie, huge.
Yeah.
And going to like hippie festivals, we were like into Michael Franti.
Yeah.
Or Franti.
Michael Franti.
But yeah, I mean, what who do you think's like one of your favorites, or what styles influenced you the most?
Well, I always like to go after music that tells a story, has a moral, has like something behind it where it's the same thing with a movie, you want to feel differently after you hear it or see it than you did before.
Yeah.
So if it's a story of, Woody Guthrie would do Union lyrics over a popular song.
Melody. Yeah. And song.
Yeah. And that would go back even further into the Wobblies before him, and back in the 1900s, Joe Hill, like
Leadbelly. Well, he's
Leadbelly, but Leadbelly. Well, he wrote. I don't know how much of it he wrote and how much of it he was just
redoing,
playing the songs that he'd heard.
Right. Well, it's hard to tell with a lot of artists from back then. Everything was borrowed and shared. So you think Woody Guthrie is one of your biggest influences? Or
I'd say I think I'm more would be more influenced by Pete Seeger than Woody Guthrie. I mean, he had more longevity.
Right.
He was around to be, for the unions and against segregation in the South and against the war in Vietnam and for cleaning up the earth, all the way to he was there from before World War II till the Occupy movement.
Yeah.
He was active all throughout, singing and playing songs from all over the world that like told a message to like. And
did he write much, or not too much? I know he wrote.
It's hard to say.
Right.
He wrote a lot of his own songs, and some of them are, super famous, but some of them he didn't. He might have taken from all these different sources that he had. I mean, people were just giving him songs everywhere.
Yeah, again,
if Pete Seeger comes up to you and asks you like, "Oh, hey Jacob, I'd like to play that song," you're gonna be like, "Okay, yeah, you fucking play whatever you want
to." Sure thing, Peter. Whatever you need. Well, and so. Yeah, it's kind of cool. You said it. Yeah, it's almost like a movie. You want to feel something. It's almost the same. You see a comedy, you feel that in a comedic song as well. You're laughing.
Right.
It's a different feeling, obviously, but it's almost different ends of the spectrum of, what you gain from a song or.
Artist. I love the bizarre music. That's.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned Zappa and Wesley Willis and
yeah, what else?
Weird Al.
Hell yeah.
That I know more. I'll hear a song coming on the radio.
Yeah.
And know way more of the Weird Al version of the song than I know about the actual song.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm disappointed almost every time because they never actually play Weird Al on the radio, which is unfortunate.
It's pretty rare. It's almost just like temporarily when he first makes it or something.
Or comes out with a new album, they'll put like one or two on there.
It's not like it's ever as played or as popular as the original, but some of them come pretty close. I think that White and Nerdy song was one of the biggest ones he ever had, which was like years later. You know, it's been around for 30 years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, so I mean, well, what I guess we got into like Dylan and Guthrie almost simultaneously, and then at the same time, kind of like Todd Snider and Prine.
Yeah.
And Todd Snider has kind of both. He can have the comedic aspect, or even almost like a stand-up aspect in between songs, stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And so what kind of got you? You kind of on your own got deeper into the more Pete Seeger folk or Union, Utah Phillips. What kind of got you in that direction?
Yeah, Pete Seeger got me into I guess being into Woody Guthrie got me into Pete Seeger. Right. And then, I mean, once you go down the line of Pete Seeger and the people that he influenced, you know, right. You have, you know, people like Utah Phillips, like Phil Oakes.
Yeah. Phil Oakes,
you know, and I mean, there was the whole 60s folk revival or folk scare, I guess, depending on who you were.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, they're coming. The folks are coming. The folkies. The local vocals. And
just a lot of that political left-wing stuff. But now I kind of go through that, and you find the historical significance to some of that stuff. The stories that they tell are some of that you're not going to read in the history books. You know, it's people that wrote songs about a time and a place, and you can almost feel it or see it, you know.
Well, and it's almost, you know, in some forms, history is his story, who is writing it. So getting a different perspective through music is getting you a history you might never have heard otherwise.
And right? I mean, the songs they give you, like, the IWW or the Wobblies would be, they would parody the songs of the Salvation Army that was across the street. So the Wobblies would be speaking somewhere, telling everybody, stand up for your rights, you know, organize a union. And then they would call in the Salvation Army, and they would come across the street with like a marching band and start trying to play music to drown them out. But then they had already changed all the words to all the songs that the Salvation Army were playing. So they had songs to sing to help organize with their different lyrics.
And
that's, you know,
Guthrie was doing this.
This was before Guthrie. I mean,
right. Huh.
But that is seems like more in the kind of the line where Guthrie fell into, where he would hear a song, you know, an old gospel song, 90% of them are,
right,
and then like write his own set of lyrics to it that made more sense.
Well, and that's I almost feel like that's even more common with what they call the folk process of the borrowing and sharing. I think it's more common to borrow a melody or chord progression of a song rather than the lyrics. You know, because that also is very common with blues, you know, taking gospel melodies, which was like very sacrilegious at the time, because like, oh God, dear. Even, you know, like Ray Charles doing stuff later in the 50s was like, it was kind of extreme at the time, taking a gospel song and then turning it into a pop blues song, whatever the hell you call it.
Right. But even so many other popular songs were gospel songs way before that you don't even think of, you know.
I just thought of a bad joke. Want to hear it?
Yeah.
What do you call a bisexual local folkie? A bifocal. Get it? It's so stupid.
Yeah.
I'm working on my stand-up. I'm going to get there.
Yeah, I keep working
40.
on it.
I think I'm more naturally funny. But to me, the best stand-up is people like who can take real-life situations and talk about them. Because, like, funny shit happens all the time. So if you can, like, that's similar to what Todd Snyder does in between his songs. Like, if you can tell a story that there's already funny shit in it, but you have to, somewhat have punchlines or emphasize certain parts of it to make it a little funnier.
And that's a whole art form to itself, like the storytelling just aspect of it.
Well, and it's like that big dude. Oh, he died recently. Rest in peace. Ralphie May. That's what, like, I just seen him do interviews, and he's like, I don't know how not to be like. To him, he acted like it wasn't hard, because he's like, my life's just fucking funny. Like, I'm just telling you stories of shit that actually happened. Yeah, and then he just like has these punchlines that just come out of it happening. It's definitely
all
art
on
form,
how they tell it.
Yeah, it's 100% how you work the crowd, how you your delivery. It's your delivery.
But like you can tell with like Todd Snyder and Utah Phillips,
right?
Very similar. Like Utah Phillips had one where he would, go through it, and he's telling a story all the way through it. Then you go back into the chorus, and then you come back around, and he starts telling a different story that's really just a joke the entire time. But he makes it sound like he's just telling it from the heart up there. But it's all pre-planned, like obviously, but
and like. Great sarcasm in a sense of you have to. I mean, once you get it, and that's almost that's similar to like Arlo Guthrie.
Yeah, very similar.
Alice's Restaurant in itself, it's a hilarious story that somehow keeps you intrigued long enough to want to listen to the whole thing, even though it doesn't go anywhere. Well, it does go somewhere, but
it cuts deep eventually.
They made the movie on it. We've rented it or something. We watched it once, didn't we?
Oh yeah, I've watched it. There's a lot in there, but
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think I've always dug really good lyricists. Yeah, whether it's serious or funny, but yeah, and then if you can like resonate with really good music and it's a good message, I think that's kind of like the overall pinnacle. But
yeah,
and that's why someone like Johnny Cash was so powerful, and also why they kind of, a lot of those political albums he did, they didn't really give much attention to, or his record company didn't, or
right.
Remember, did you see that thing? He took that ad out in Rolling Stones, like, I will not censor my music, because no one would play his stuff or write articles about him. He did that Native American album and a bunch of stuff during that time.
That Bitter Tears album is just masterful.
It's powerful stuff, man. And that's okay. So yeah, what's the story? Johnny Cash wanted to play a Utah Phillips song, right?
Now I'd heard that somewhere on some I believe Utah Phillips had he had a radio show. And I believe he was talking about that, how Johnny Cash wanted to play one of his songs, and he was just like, no, I'd rather you didn't.
You wanted to like record it and release it.
Yeah, but he just didn't feel that would be right to do to the song. I guess at the time, though, I mean, you have to look at it when they had the Johnny Cash show on.
Right.
He had become in the eyes of a lot of people, I would think, like more of a poppy,
right?
Like
I mean, that's the funny thing about that show. It was like it made him mainstream, especially back then. There were so many limited TV options, so literally it's like half the country could be watching one show, but. The thing about that show is it made him more mainstream in a way, but he he like did a lot of stuff that the network didn't like just by having so diverse of guests on.
Yeah.
You know, and having people of all races, all styles of music, everything. And so it was kind of like the mixture of getting more popular and mainstream, but also, you know, standing up for what you believe in, like, and who you believe in, what artists you support. So,
and I mean,
so that was the same time that he wanted to do the song, though. That's what you're saying.
I mean, I think Johnny Cash probably would have done Utah Phillips justice, I'm sure.
Right.
But I mean, Utah Phillips was a man of very committed to the principles of what he held.
So how long has he been putting out material? I'm not too familiar.
Utah?
Yeah. Because that's late 60s we're talking.
Yeah, I think he was maybe in the 50s and 60s. I mean, he died, I think, in 2008.
Right, and then he was still doing stuff like in the 90s because he has like Ani DeFranco stuff.
Yeah.
Which is weird collaboration, but kind of cool.
No, that guy, there's so limited content for what I would love to see, like 100, way more than there is available.
Oh, really? You think there's a lot of stuff unreleased or just never?
Well, I think he played around on the folk scene, and what he did was masterful. Like he has that songbook album, that 2 CD or 3 CD or whatever.
Yeah.
Of his originals that some of them he wrote, are all of them he wrote, but some he gave to other people to record.
Okay.
And but I mean, his storytelling, like the way that album is set up, is you have one track of him explaining the song, how he wrote it and where it kind of came from, or a story about it. I think he did one about he found this tin by a mine in a mining town on the ground, and he was asking around what it was. It turns out it was a morphine tin.
Oh, wow.
Where miners would take morphine in a tin in case there was a cave-in.
Right.
And they weren't going to make it. They'd pop the morphine and commit suicide.
Oh, no. Whoa. Crazy.
And he wrote a song about that. I mean, it's just stuff like that where it's masterful writing, but as soon as you hear the story behind it, I think a lot of songs are like that too. Right. Where as soon as you investigate the song and go back to it, it tells a story.
It becomes
that
like a deep,
that you don't even know,
It's like a deeper meaning, especially if you're already like love the song that much, and then you kind of
right.
Well, and that's almost and that's interesting because I think a lot of artists purposely choose to not tell you the full meaning, so it gives you almost your own, it gives you more freedom to have your own like perspective on it.
Yeah, build your own interpretation
of it. But so that's pretty cool and interesting that he kind of breaks them down. And maybe his songs are slightly more direct in a sense, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he's not very he doesn't do like Bob Dylan. Like Bob Dylan's kind of vague, and it's what does he mean when he sees the blind man drawing circles up and down the blind,
He's not like mysterious, so to speak.
Yeah. He kind of just spits it straight in like a worker's shorthand, like kind of way with some poetic.
Which is weird because like that's almost more popular today of people, even like when someone does some like social media post and it's about a song, you're like writing a story of how the song came about, and it makes it like, more interesting.
Right.
And what have you. But I mean, I like both aspects of it. I mean, artists that I love, I definitely love to see them kind of break down a song or explain it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like it. I also like the mystery. If I don't know, that's cool too.
Well, it's like when on one of those Dylan documentaries, right? I think it was Joan Baez was like, yeah, when the ship comes in, it's about how one time he got hassled trying to check into a hotel or something like that.
No, and that's and that's kind of that's like that almost is the true poetic, sense of it. Like, I'm gonna take my anger, rage that's kind of from a minuscule thing, and use like metaphors to make it have more meaning.
But then it sounds like it's ready to. Oh, one day when the ship comes in, we're gonna get our revenge, and so we're gonna cry. Your days are numbered. But instead of like fuck, how they in? They didn't let me in. Like something like that.
I know, and that's kind of like maybe that's if you're someone like Utah Phillips and you're purposely, I mean, you're trying to be more direct. That's maybe kind of the point of him breaking them down as compared to a song like that. Maybe he wouldn't necessarily want people to know what it was inspired by, because that's the whole. And Dylan was famous for not wanting to do interviews, or if he did do them, he'd be very vague and like, whatever.
It means what I think it means.
Fuck you think it's about? What do you think it's about, motherfucker? No, he didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
He should have said that. But. Yeah, and that's and that's why I think someone like Todd Snyder, he's a little more direct in his storytelling, and he, I think that's a very common folk singer thing to do, to tell a little bit of backstory in between your songs. Arlo does it. So many people have done it. Folk singer style. But it not only does it, it's funny and it's a great story. It takes up probably over half of your set, so you don't even got to play as much. That's something I've almost thought of trying to get into that more, but like, yeah, me personally, I feel like it's more, it'd be more appropriate for like only a set of certain songs that are all kind of storytelling or all have a good backstory. If they're all just kind of more a different style, then somebody do like a folk singer, singer-songwriter thing, which you definitely could. That would be a cool way to do it, but
you need a talking blues.
Talking blues. Honestly, like everywhere I go, I feel like I don't like write for the area, but everywhere I go, I kind of adapt to the area and am influenced by it. Mm-hmm. So like here, like I'm already kind of writing a little more. I mean, I'm always writing blues stuff, but I'm kind of writing a little more like, old school country or like folk country. And so that's kind of the direction I was going to go next, because then I already have a lot of old material that could be redone that falls into that genre. So, but I definitely like, I have a good collection of songs, old and new, that are, very similar to that folk singer-songwriter storytelling style, which I would love to do in like every song, like cool finger picking. Like I would love to do a whole thing like that, even like practically like no blues at all sort of thing. You know what I mean? But all in good time, because there's even some really old songs from back in the day, because I used to write a lot more lyrics and not focus on melody as much.
Right.
So now you can kind of take the good lyrics and revamp stuff, but I don't know.
Hell yeah.
I love all that stuff, and I love even just the idea of you do everything, every album or everything you put out, just slightly different style, and it's all similar style in a sense, but to me, blues and like folk are pretty different, even though they're very similar. Just like scale wise and tone wise of like the song, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
You've never done much blues playing wise, but you've always been more of a folky, country, bluegrassy thing.
Yeah.
Singer-songwriter.
I really appreciate the blues and when it can be done really well, and then there's a lot of blues that it's just like miserable listening to for me. Or
like a repetitive 12-bar, 16-bar, same thing.
You know, if it's just going to be like, you know, some guy just noodling over.
Right.
I don't need to hear your solo go on forever.
Yeah, you're more,
sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but
you're overall always been more into the lyrics and songwriting more than the guitar solo, melt your face, which blues can have both, and folk can kind of have both, but overall is more based on melody, lyrics.
Right.
For the most part, I would say.
It's more focused on the moral and the story.
Yeah, and it's like
a good
even
folk song tells a tale. Like
if you think of like when even Schneider will do occasional like blues number, it's usually a song that's not the most deepest lyrics. Like I got the good news blues, whatever.
Oh, that's Billy Joe Shaver.
Oh well, yeah, that's right. But there's a couple of them like that. You know what I mean? I think when he gets into the folky finger picking, he usually is telling more of a story, I suppose.
Yeah.
Depends, you know. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's cool, and it's almost, I don't know if it's becoming more rare nowadays, appreciation of that style, but I think there's always little revamps of people.
I've been noticing a lot of, just from general listening, that it's like it seems that the tambourine and like a ukulele or a quick guitar thing is getting really popular lately. I don't know. Or I've been hearing a lot of it in modern music or your advertisements. You see it all the fucking time. Ding, you know.
The tone of the female almost sounds like the same singer.
I mean, you know, but as soon as they add the tambourine and then the bass drum in, it's all over, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's snappy and poppy, and they're telling a story of sorts. And
right. Well, and I think it's you just always have little revivals of stuff, and it's not a coincidence you had a huge revival of folk and blues country music shortly after what came out. Oh, brother, we're out thou.
Oh, yeah.
Whole country's like, I love this movie and the soundtrack. So then
I was doing a DJ show up at Beloit College.
Oh, right.
You were doing one at right around the same time.
Yeah, we probably caught each other on the way out.
They always hassled you to play new music, you know?
Right.
So they had the "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" soundtrack in the new music department. So I'm like, okay, yeah, well, I played every fucking track on this thing last night. What do you want from me?
New versions of old songs.
So it was like, "We'll Fly Away," and then it was like Detroit Rock City on right after that.
Oh shit, that's funny.
Or 6 Feet Under, or whatever rock and roll I was into at the time.
Oh yeah, 6 Feet Under. I remember that, man. Death metal. Fuck yeah.
They had this whole cover album.
Oh yeah, Purple Haze was on there.
Yeah. There was a bunch of them on there.
Oh, the Uberalis. That's Dead Kennedy's cover. California.
Yep.
Wow, I didn't know you liked that shit. I temporarily was into death metal, like 6 Feet Under, Cannibal Corpse.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the Olsen knows them all, but
yeah, very, very briefly I was into that. But what I wanted to do on that particular show was like play an original and then play a cover, you know?
Yeah.
There's so many of them where I've heard it on the radio, like, okay, yeah, we're doing like welcome to WPSI. We're doing play the cover. You know, is it the cover or is it the original? And then people call up and they're like, I want to hear Bob Marley's cover of I Shot the Sheriff by Eric Clapton.
Yeah, exactly. I want to hear Joe Cocker's. I want to hear the Beatles cover Joe Cocker.
Yeah, exactly.
A little help from my hand.
But I always like throw the original up against a cover, and then sometimes the cover's better. Yeah. You know, every once in a while, the cover's better. Yeah. Not always. But, you know, I like the Joe Cocker version better than the Beatles one, but...
Yeah, something like that. I really like.
But they wrote it, so I guess they get more.
I like how... I think that's... Joe Cocker is kind of my exception of people I like who do a lot of covers, because he just did them so differently. And that's a good example. And
if you can make it your own.
Yeah, exactly. And the only person that he didn't do too different, which actually was a huge influence on him, was Ray Charles. Like, he tried to almost like really sing like Ray Charles when he first started. And he does an awesome version of Unchain My Heart. And it's like, you know, because they have that similar kind of smoky, raspy tone. Yeah.
What's that other one?
The Letter. He does that one.
He does The Letter.
Awesome. And that's
Let's Go Get Stoned is the one I was thinking.
Oh of. Yeah. Well, but a lot of that crazy tour. What is it? The Bulldog and what's it called? Gentleman. No, the crazy tour he did with the crazy band. The Mad Bulldog and Gentleman thing. You know what I'm talking about. Come on. Anyways, sorry. Leon Russell, the awesome piano player.
Yeah.
He wrote and arranged a lot of that stuff for that whole tour and album, like the song The Letter, and I believe Let's All Get Stoned too. Oh, yeah. Oh, Mad Dog and the Englishman, right? Yeah, Mad Dogs and the Englishman. That's what it's called. Okay. So it was a whole tour and an album, but yeah, a lot of that stuff Leon Russell did. And Joe Cocker was awesome, though. He had incredible voice.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, man. Shit. What do you want to talk about?
We'll be right back after these messages.
All right. Well, I think we covered a lot in this podcast today. And I know we could ramble on for hours about musical influences or the importance of music and the message.
Absolutely.
And yeah, love to have you back on. And if you want to, we should keep collaborating on some stuff, man. Like, I'm always doing stuff like that. Get yourself your own recorder so you don't have to rely on James.
I think I'm getting one here today. We'll see about.
Yeah? You already looked it up?
That up.
I'll tell you, a Tascam digital recorder. They're super easy to work with. Everything's on a SD card.
Right.
So if you could put that into your computer, and I mean, you can edit it right on the thing too, but you can. I mean, I record everything on my recorder and then edit everything on my computer, just to have the visualization of the tracks and whatnot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, you got any musical plans for the future?
Well, I've been wanting to collaborate on a kind of a left-wing album. I want to do a version of the International.
Oh, that's right.
I want to get some people on that and do it in multiple languages.
So you want to get this out for the election, huh?
I don't know about before the election, but maybe.
Why not?
It's better before, but yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's just a lot of that old music that you know, I love it.
Came about during big events and
times of crisis, and you know,
right.
people. A lot of what they did was, you know, the IWW, they would give away a songbook.
Mm.
You would get your membership card and you would get a songbook. Music to fuel the flames of discontent.
Huh.
You know,
cool.
and a lot of those are Joe Hill songs, who was executed for writing the songs that he wrote. Wow. You know, and
that's crazy.
I'd like to do some of his songs, and I would like to, you know, just do these general ones that, you know, people wrote and help them organize to try and fix the problems that they were having.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that's cool, man. It's powerful stuff, powerful material, and it's you can like hear it in the lyrics or just kind of feel it.
It's yeah, very powerful.
It's almost like, what else could you write in those times? You know what I mean? In a sense,
right?
But you could write something funny. Just like, fuck it, let's just laugh.
Yeah, there's plenty of that too. You know, and
that's cool.
I'd like to collaborate a little more on our comedic end. You know, that's always
for sure. So you want to do a left-wing music project, any musical projects, and you'll still be collecting instruments, I take it.
I will be, hopefully, yeah. I got my eyes on a couple right now.
Right on. Yeah, what's next?
I'm looking at Quattro Puerto Riqueño.
Okay.
Like it's a mini Puerto Rican guitar, double string.
Oh, cool. Right.
Four double strings.
Oh, right. Yeah. I think I've seen one of those. A lot of frets?
I believe so. Yeah.
I think I actually just saw one of those at a guitar store, instrument store.
I was looking at them. They can get them for about $100. So.
Right on.
That they aren't too bad.
I definitely would suggest getting that recorder or a decent mic.
That's true.
I actually got. I had a pretty good mic crap out on me pretty early. Like it was like over $100, and recently I just got a decent Behringer $30 mic, and it serves its purpose. I use it live for every show now, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you can get them pretty cheap. So, but yeah, man, cool. We should definitely collaborate on more stuff. Anything.
Hell yeah.
Musically. Shit, I'm spacing out today. Oh my god. But well, that's kind of the cool thing, you know. It's like, I think as long as we always have a love for playing music or, you know, getting into artists with powerful stuff, it almost it's a never-ending thing of, you know, we don't know when we might record again or when you might write a song again, but it's always something that's like happening slowly or in the process because you're like constantly influenced by it, you know what I mean? And I think to me it's cool to have that other aspect, like Old Folk Soul, to do more folkier stuff than I normally would. And, you know, that's why it's cool to do it with you, because you have appreciation for it. Unlike most. And, you know, maybe Randy has more appreciation for the Dylan, harmonica, Neil Young side, but similar. But, you know, we're kind of more old school, I suppose. Traditionalist. Not really. No.
Not really.
Not at all. But folk traditionalist. No.
Right.
But, yeah, man. It was great talking to you. And we should do it again. And, yeah, man, if you get any recording stuff, just let me know. And even if you have any questions or anything or whatever, we could just, we could send tracks back and forth.
Excellent, man.
So, good talking to you, man. I'll talk to you soon. This is Jacob Green, Universal Language. This is Adam Nash, my guest. This is the 5th episode of the podcast. Peace, everybody. Good seeing you, man.
Yep. Peace.
Peace.